Okay, so in today's video, we're going to show you how to open and rebuild one of these guys. So this is a G-Force dog box. This is the gear ratios that we run in basically all of them. The last gear ratio is a 1-to-1. So it's a 2-3-4, a 1-6-1, a 1-2-0, and then a 1-to-1. That's originally the first numbers I ran and kind of liked with the LS platform. And then now going to a turbo setup, it seems to feel really good actually. You could, if you want to, you could spread this out a little bit more and that out a little bit more, but I like the compactness of all these because when you shift gears, they're all pretty close. This box we've ran for quite a while. It does have a tool steel shaft in it. I located there just to let you know. And basically I've already opened this box, so I already know what's wrong with it, and I've ordered the parts. The parts that we're gonna be replacing are these guys. So this is third gear, the dog, or basically the slider and the dog. So dog. This is basically when you're gonna replace them, you replace the whole setup like this to make it nice and all fresh. This box is probably 4 years old now. So this box we've had originally in Kadu, which is the car that Connor drives. And then I took it out of there and put it into Senate Sally, which is the car that's behind it, which is this car. So it has no transmission in it right now. We pulled it out last night. And what was happening is I let a couple people drive the car. And I think just from not knowing how to drive a dog box, I think they kind of like duffed the gears. And I'll show you what that looks like on the inside. But basically, instead of having these sharp little edges, like right here and right here, instead of them being sharp, they end up being rounded off. So we actually have to pull them out and replace them, because if they're rounded off, when they catch, they won't catch and stay in. So instead of staying hooked up and in, they're just kind of like clack and then pop out. So that's what has to happen. I'll open this up real fast and show you what's inside and what it looks like from the top. So give me 1 second. We're gonna take these bolts off. So all these nuts. So we're going to pull all these nuts off, and then these two right here, and then the whole top cover will come off. So give me 1 second for this. So this is the tools you're gonna need. You're gonna need a 7/8 for the drain plug. You're gonna need a 3/8 12 point for all the ARP bolts on the top. You're gonna need a 1/4 inch 12 point for the little guys for the selector shaft, and a 3/16 Allen for the reverse gear. Good? Yep. All right, so all the little washers are off of it. And then basically you can just grab it and it should come up pretty easy. There we go. You can flip her over. And then at this time is when you want to inspect to make sure this is all straight and everything is all good here. Nothing's bent, nothing's damaged, which this one looks pretty good. It is a tool steel upper, so I wouldn't imagine there to be any problems with it. So this one seems all good. Sometimes you can have problems with it broken, and you'll notice it'll break right here on this pin. Is normally where they tend to break, and they actually separate in two pieces. So this one seems to be okay. So now let's take a look in here. So as you look through it, you're gonna look for damage on the corner of the dogs. So as we go around and come on to this side of this, there we go. So see how this dog right here is pretty sharp, like it's still a very sharp cut dog, and so is this one. That's how they're supposed to look. Now this is basically first, second, third, fourth. As you come down here, you can see that these dogs are rounded. So see how the end of this nose isn't sharp? The nose is actually kind of like, see how that nose is sharp on here? Boom, and this one is rounded off. That means that this dog, instead of going all the way into gear, it hit like that. And basically that's a good way to break a dog or duff the gear. The problem is now is when it misshifts, it'll go boop, and it'll just fall out of gear. And because we're doing that one, I figured we should just do fourth as well, because fourth has a little bit of wear right here. So if you look at that one, there we go. You can see that fourth gear also on all of these have the same problem. So we're gonna replace this guy and this guy, and basically now we've identified the problem. So what we're gonna do is drain out all the oil first, because if not, it makes a complete mess, because we're gonna separate the casing right here. So let me pull this guy, the lower one. So you pull this one out, we're gonna drain it all out, and then we'll get to actually showing you how to take these guys off. All right, so the next part of this is I basically just took the 6 nuts off of this, and then you're gonna slide the back half off. I'm lucky enough I have one of these things. When I bought the transmission, it actually came on this stand. So if you have it, use it. If not, no big deal. Then you basically grab the back half of this and it just slides right off. As it slides off, just kind of pay attention. You will lose that bearing and a little bit of oil, depending on how much you clean. There we go. Slide that guy back on, this guy back on, and then you basically take this and set it down because this is not necessary anymore. And that's why I leave the stand on the bottom of this. So the reason why I leave this is because then it sits up in the air like that, nice and perfect. And gives it some way for me to easily clean it all when it's time to do that. All right, now you can kind of inspect everything. Back here, it's okay to have a brass shift fork back here. This is reverse, which just kind of slides back and forth on this ball in here. And then you have all these guys in there. Now there's, I think there's 3 more of these. Yep, 1, 2, 3. And then this rear cover will come off and we'll take this whole assembly out. So let me loosen these up now. Go ahead. Okay, so the only thing to really pay attention to when you pull this back off is right in here, there's a little ball. And you don't want to lose the ball. So what I do is I just stick a magnet there so that if the ball does try and fall out, at least it sticks on the magnet. Obviously this is all in theory here, but come on, buddy. Okay, I lied. Let me remove the washers first. You probably stop filming. Okay. So there's one big spacer inside. Just make sure it stays on there. And then the whole assembly comes out. And this is why you do it on a table, so you have enough room to see what's going on. There we go. And that's your entire setup. Well, minus the one gear that fell inside. So here's your bottom of 4th. That was cool. I swear this thing goes on. Anyways, I gotta take all the gear sets back off, but this gear, 4th gear goes right back there. So that's how this setup is. Now we need to only replace this front part, which is actually pretty easy to get to. It's easier than taking everything else apart. So how you do this is also how you can change your input shaft. Is you slide this gear off, slide this gear off, and just make sure you have whatever washers you need. So this washer goes right here. Do not take any of these needle bearings apart. You will not have a fun day. So here's the dog, and there's the other one. So this is the dog that we need to replace. Keep in mind which way it goes. And this is an 8-puck dog. And I think our new ones are 6-puck. So let me look. Nope, they're the same. Okay. There is 6-puck and 8-puck dogs. They are interchangeable if you replace the whole thing, but you can't just replace one or the other. So this guy, make sure this goes the right way with the needle bearing. Then you slide the dog off. So this is the big dog. So that's I believe that's called the faceplate. Then you find the faceplate that matches, which is this one. So there's a big one and a small one, and you'll see that in a second. So here's the big one. This guy goes on these little teeth, which is actually part of 3rd gear. So that guy goes on. This guy goes back on. Come on. I swear it does. There we go. Goes back on. And then here's this is the dog that came off that was no good. Now in theory, you can technically turn the dog around and use the back side of the dog if you have to. If you're in a pinch, but we're just gonna replace it because we have the whole box already apart. So now you take this guy, slide the dog on. Perfect. Then you are going to take this guy, which is a faceplate for the 4th gear. And you can tell there's just writing on it and there's 2 little notches. So here's your input shaft, right? You slide it off the back side. There we go. So the whole thing comes off this side. You leave the C-clip on there and then you can literally just separate it. You want to make sure that they line up and that they are the same. This one is a little bit smaller for some reason. which I'm not totally sure on why. Not sure why this dog is slightly smaller, but go like this. Slide this one back in. And it's a precision fit, so it takes a second. And I swear this gear just came off, so it should go back on. There we go. And then now you have this set up all ready to go. This guy goes back on. There we go. And now you have basically your new dog setup. So if you look, boom, as this spins, it locks in there. That's what locks all this together. So as this is free, it free spins, input shaft free spins, boom, locks back in, ties the whole gear set together. So we're gonna put this gear back on and then slide this whole thing back inside. So give me a second to set it all up. Okay, so something I've done that you don't necessarily need to do, but something that I have done because we've had a problem in the past, is I've added a spring to this. This is reverse. And if you get everything just right and something happens and some craziness, which is what happened to Sam in St. Louis, this can just fall forward if it goes past the ball. So what we have done is we've added a spring to this guy. So now it's a little bit harder to push it into reverse, but this is not going to just accidentally fall forward. Like, you have to actually push it into reverse. So simple spring, I cut it in half and just spun it around there so you don't have to disturb any of this. Just cut it, spin it around, and it should go right on in. And then you have this cool little springy thing you've made. So just showing you guys how we've done this as a precaution to accidentally not go into reverse. Okay, so Allen, super simple. Push the reverse forward. Drop the little ball in the hole first. Oh, just kidding. I think you still have to fight it this way. All right, we can delete this video. So next step of this is wiping it all out, just nice and clean. So we have a clean base to start with. We're gonna clean these gears up, which they actually look, they look really, really clean. So we're not too worried about that. And then we're gonna stand this guy back up and slide it right on in. So just like with anything, make sure all the parts that came off go back on. There's a little washer here, which gives you the right spacing for the crank on that side as it slides in. So try and keep this guy all together, reach through the middle, slide it in there, make sure the input shaft goes in. Come on, buddy. Make sure fourth gear doesn't fall off. There we go. And then it should slide right into position. There. Everything slides in. How you can tell that it's slid in correctly is the rear case will be flat. You won't have to press it in or fight with it. It literally will just go straight to flat. So we know that part's in. We have to do the reverse gear with the little ball. And I'll show you how we're gonna do that is basically if you come to this side, we're gonna put the spring in, put the ball in, put a flathead screwdriver to hold it up, and then I'm just gonna go boop and pop that guy right on. So let me get that set up. All right, so little ball right there, boom. Ball goes in. You have to hold the ball up, screwdriver, slide that guy in. So now the ball is in there. It's good to go. You can see it right there, kind of moving around. That's what gives tension so that this thing can't go in reverse. Then you drop the spring on down. You go back to your Allen, screw the Allen in, and I normally just leave it right below the top. It kind of snugs in. There we go. It doesn't have to be super tight. Just have to make it so it can go into reverse. And you'll feel it, see, boom, reverse. If it's too tight, you can back this thing up all the way to the edge of this case. Do not exceed the edge of that case though, because the top will hold it down. So right at the edge of the case is about as loose as you can possibly go for the reverse. And then when you pop it in gear, boom, there we go. So that's in reverse. Nice and easy. So that part's done. Now what we're gonna do is take the rear cover, clean that up, and then put the rear cover back on. So now you got the rear cover. And you can slide the rear cover right on. Make sure that the reverse gear does not fall off. And you might have to turn it a little bit. There we go. Recover's on. We're gonna put the washers on and then torque this down to 17 as well. All right, so snug it down with that just to make it so it's easier to hold. And yeah, you definitely do need the adapter. There we go. Torque these guys down to 17 and then you'll be ready to rock. The bottom one's a little hard to get to, so you might need an extension to go under the mount. But basically, however you got it off, just do the opposite with a torque wrench. Beautiful. Okay. So this guy's good. We're gonna take one last look at everything before you put it back on and make sure that everything works. So as we're spinning this, you slide it into first gear. Okay, first gear's engaged. Second gear, come back into neutral. Third gear, back into fourth gear. So as long as they all work, you're good. You can also test them by putting it into one gear. So go into second and try and go into fourth, and it will lock up. That means that the gears are actually connected and working. So you're good to go here. We're gonna take this, clean this guy up. So give me a second to do that, and then this is gonna go on, and I'll show you what's important in putting that cover back on. Okay, so we're gonna take this little like turtle stingray looking thing and turn her over. Now, you have to make sure that these go in each dog, right? That they capture the dog all the way down. And then this guy is very important. So see this little tab? This guy has to go in the reverse gear. So this is the reverse gear from the top. It has to go right into this guy. So let me make sure it goes in there. I normally look at it through the side here to make sure everything goes in the right spot. So if you look from this side, you can see whether you're gonna get them or you're not. And you kind of line them up. Come on, buddy. Once you have the dogs lined up, you'll know it'll go down, and it'll go down pretty gently. So that means I don't have them. Come on. There. So see how it goes down easy? But the back corner is up. That gives you an indication that I'm not in the right valley for that little tab that sticks down. So we're gonna look back through this side over here and slide it over till it lines up. So you can pop it up a little bit. Oops. And see where the reverse is. And it needs to go back this way just a tad. And then it goes right down. And now you are good to go. So you're in gear. What I would do though, before you put this whole box back in the car, check to make sure it goes into all the gears. So we're gonna put the shifter stick on this. We're gonna attach this guy back up here. We're gonna torque these down, and then we're gonna check it all. So let me put these back together first. We'll go this way. All right, you can stop filming for a second. All right, so now we're gonna test to make sure that they all work. So neutral has good spring back, so that means that there is a neutral that we're actually set up on, and it doesn't spin. It doesn't spin the back shaft, and the front shaft just spins freely. So then we're gonna go over, go into first, make sure that first gear is spinning the rear. Second, make sure that second gear is spinning. Third, make sure the third's spinning. Fourth, there we go, all the way in fourth. Make sure that the rear's spinning, and then now the fun one is reverse. So down, over, up, and make sure that the rear shaft is spinning the opposite direction, which it is. So we're good to go. Now we have all our gears set, and it all works. So now you can basically torque this top back down. You're done. Take the handle back off, and go stab it in the race car. All right, so now it's all good, ready to go back in. But before you put this guy in, make your life a lot easier and add your mow tool to it before. So this is the drain, this is the fill. So I pulled the fill out. Fill guy is sitting right here. They are both the same, the 7/8. And we use mow tool. The reason why we use mow tool is because the 75-140 helps literally save all the teeth and all of the gears. So we've used different ones in the past, but honestly, this was the best one. And how you can tell is it's like a blue color. Also, you know how clean it is because you can kind of dip your finger in there or in this side. And if it's still blue, you're pretty much good to go. If it's black or starting to change colors, you've either burned it or, you know, it's not good anymore. So we use this stuff. We've been using it for many, many years. I mean, like I said, this transmission has 4 years on it. And if you saw it when we opened it up, it looked brand new. So this isn't a huge pitch for Motul. It's more of, that's the reason why we run it, is because I don't want to be going through transmissions. They're expensive. So it's a lot easier to just put good fluid in it and I don't have to worry about it. Also, if you see goldening on your gears, so if the gears are like turning gold, you're not running a high enough weight. So we were running into that problem with another oil company when it was 7590. So we jumped up to the 75-140, which was a recommendation from another team, and that stopped all of the gears of changing color. So 75-140, same thing we run in the winter's quick change, but we put it in this, and it takes one of these guys, so 1 liter exactly. We're gonna put it in here, and then you fill it up till it starts to drain out of this. All right, and there we go. So it literally took exactly 1 liter. I don't know if the table's a little messed up, but it took all of it. So we're good there. Let it run out, cap it off, tighten it down, stab it in the race car.